is the internet in some way implicated in the long run trends that I'm talking about? And a separate question is, could the internet be part of the solution to our problems? Because the answer to the first question is unequivocally that the internet had nothing to do with the downtrends that I've talked about, because all of these trends were well underway 20 years before Bill Gates, was at Harvard. That is, in other words, or before anybody thought of the internet. What I'm trying to say is those trends have been steadily down for 20, 25 years, long before the internet. So the internet comes into the story very late and can't be very much of the story. It is a separate question, though, whether the internet could be riding to the rescue. Was the internet going to help the problem, improve the problem, as you're suggesting by online, chat groups or whatever? Or is it going to make the problem worse? And there's another set of arguments that one could make, that the internet is actually going to make the problem worse. I think this is an important question, absolutely worthy of discussion. I think the question of whether it is the explanation for the decline is a red herring, frankly. I mean, it's off topic, but I think that the issue about whether we can make the internet part of the solution rather than part of the problem is an important one. It's a big question because it's hard, actually, it turns out to be hard to project the effects of technology. People in a similar stage in the development of the telephone, for example, as you may know, there's been people have looked back at projections about the social effects of the telephone, and people like me, pundits then, were utterly, and like Frank Fukuyama, for that matter, were utterly wrong in their guesses about the long-run effects of the telephone. So I think you should take with many grains of salt what any of us say about what we think the long-run effect of the internet will be. But I think the question fundamentally is whether the internet will turn out to be, in effect, a nifty telephone or a nifty TV. And I think there's still an open question. By nifty telephone, I mean a way of deepening and strengthening and broadening our connections with other people, which is what you're suggesting, and I think that's possible. It certainly has that potential in it. Or whether it will turn out to be yet another glowing box that we fundamentally sit in front of and for passive entertainment. And I can tell you a story about those two futures, and then which I won't take time to, but I want to. You could tell a story in both those futures. The only concern and basically in our research program here at the Kennedy School, we're spending a fair amount of time trying to think about how you would evolve the technology in ways that would make it more like a nifty telephone. However, if you think about the social implications of the dot-com stock revolution for a moment, think about what that means. I'm not opposed to this, but the dot-com stock market boom means that America is investing several hundreds of billions of dollars now in attracting smart people to work on fundamentally the task of making the internet a nifty television rather than a nifty telephone. I don't object to that, but I do think that by relying solely on market techniques for allocating, market mechanisms, for allocating investment, we are risking undervaluing the potential community-friendly dimensions of the internet. So I would actually favor, you didn't ask me this, but I would favor substantial public investment in sort of fostering community-friendly forms of the internet.